My name is Dr. Van Roberts. I've been teaching for 25 years at Mississippi University for women, and I've been teaching classes in film for those 25 years at Mississippi University for women. And before I even came to Mississippi University for women, I was writing movie reviews for the newspapers over in Starkville and in Columbus, and I've been writing movie reviews for about 17 years now, I'd say. And I've been watching movies since about 1957. So I've seen so many movies, they're probably running together now. I love horror movies. Horror movies they're like the forbidden fruit of mainstream cinema. They're designed to scare you, and in our politically correct age, that's seen as something of, well, it's just not seen as a politically correct thing. Horror movies make your pulse race, they make you perspire, they get your adrenaline rolling. They put you in situations you never want to be in, and you ask yourself, in situations like that, why would I want to be in that situation? Because basically, we all like to have the hell scared out of us. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. However, sometimes when we see some horror movies, we can't go to sleep at night, and we find ourselves opening the closet doors and rummaging through the closet to make sure that Freddy Krueger isn't in there. And we also look under the bed because Lord knows what's lurking under there to grab us by the ankle and pull us off to somewhere else. But horror movies over the years have changed significantly. Whether you realize it or not, they made a version of Frankenstein. Edison and his people in 1910 made probably the first version of Frankenstein. So that tells you how long horror movies have been with us. And horror movies, like I said earlier, have evolved over the years. We went from the Mummy, the Wolfman, Frankenstein, the Invisible Man, and Dracula, to horror movies today where the horror is still there, but the creatures aren't necessarily dressed up in black like Dracula or wrapped up in cotton like the Mummy. Today we have horror that looks almost normal. And that's how horror has changed over the years. But nevertheless, we always look for a good scare in a horror movie. And some of the ways that horror has changed, in the past, I'd say from the 1920s to the 1950s, we could have scary movies, but they couldn't scare us too much. We couldn't see lots of blood and gore. And then somewhere around the 60s, horror movies changed and they started going for lots of blood and gore. So Night of the Living Dead, an old black and white movie made in 1968. You see somebody munching on a chunk of intestine. That would be a huge change. You can see good horror movies. These would be like these horror movies today, the Paranormal Activity movies, where somebody pops up behind you, or you see a pot rattle or a door slam. Nobody actually touches you in these horror movies, but these can be just as scary as horror movies like Nightmare on Elm Street or Halloween, or probably the granddaddy of all slasher movies, Psycho, where you've got Anthony Perkins running around dressed like a woman stabbing people to shrieking sounds. So horror movies have changed over the years, and there's a horror movie out there for everybody. You can either go see these blood and guts horror movies, and the people that go see them, they're termed gore hounds because they want to see the blood and gore. I would say a bad horror movie would be, and I'm going to be trotting on toes here, Jaws when it came out was beautiful. You got a shark, it's eating people, you don't know when it's going to come around. And then recently we've had stuff like Sharknado, where you've got sharks raining down all over the place. Those are stupid horror movies. Halloween and Friday the 13th and all of those horror movies were so incredibly spectacular that they spawned, and I mean literally spawned, thousands of imitators. So your basic slasher movie might not be that good because it's been done so many times. But recently they made a movie called You're Next. And in You're Next, they had the classic situation. People are at a house in a remote location, in a storm, their cell phones don't work, frankly nothing works, and these people are holed up in this house and they're being attacked by these evil predators who have what appear to be different shapes of animal heads on their faces, like a pig, a goat, something like that. And they're just killing people without a qualm. And it turns out that one of the people in there had hired those people to come kill those people because they were relatives and they wanted to make sure they didn't have any part of the inheritance. Well, what made You Next different from Halloween or Friday the 13th is one of the people in the house happened to have grown up as a survivalist. So she literally beats them. So once you do a horror movie too many times, it's just not going to be that much fun. And so I would consider those bad horror movies. Of course, the worst horror movies is when, like we're doing right now, they just sit around and talk about scary things. They don't have scary things reach out and grab you. In a horror movie, you have the scary scenes. And the scary scenes can be really good, but it's the lead up to the scary scenes when nothing's happening. I think what I like most about watching a good horror movie is you're in that house, you're looking for something, there's a lot of melodramatic music swelling in the background, you're going into the room, you're opening the closet, you're going deep in the closet, you know something's there, the music's building, and then nothing happens. And then you turn around and there's Jason screaming at you. So it kind of leads you on to develop a sense of dread, and then, and I would say 1/3 of the time it took for them to build up the scene, they scare you so badly your popcorn is now stars in the movie theater ceiling and your drink is all over your feet and everybody's laughing at you. The best horror movie ever made is The Exorcist. I saw The Exorcist when it came out, I believe in 1974, and I was in Starkville because Columbus would not show it. And the theater was so packed that I had to sit cross-legged in the aisle, and I had made the mistake of drinking a huge Pepsi. And so during these scary moments, I'm so paralyzed with fear, I could not literally lift myself up to walk to the bathroom. Alien with Sigourney Weaver, that was a frightening film. Now today, I know what horror movies do. They try to scare you with unexpected things. They use loud sounds. And yet, this new breed of horror movie that's out there, the paranormal activity movies, they're just as scary as a blood and gore movie, but they just work a little differently. You can still get massive startles or screams because something just happens so quickly. It's not a knife going into you and a fountain of blood erupting, but it's equivalent to that. It catches you off guard. And a good horror movie, you want to go get scared, and you should know you're going to be scared. You just think about the situation and wonder how that ties in with how you were raised. Did you sleep with the door shut to your room? For a long time I did. I figured the demons wouldn't get in. Then I saw enough horror movies and I realized I needed an escape hatch. So I needed to sleep with the door open. I guess if a fire ever erupted, I'd have been able to get out of the house quicker. But I think horror movies have helped me. Now you wonder, who goes to see horror movies? Not people my age, presumably. Most horror movies, they're aimed at teenagers, people, or I'd say kids 13, 14, 15, who cannot see an R-rated movie and have not experienced some of the traumatic situations you can experience in life. So they want to see it on the screen. I would say, other than sex, horror is the scariest thing facing us. It's the most forbidden, taboo activity. And that's why young people like to see horror movies, because they kind of think that they're bulletproof, that they'll live forever. And so they want to find out just how far can they take it and not be afraid or not lose control. Watching a horror movie is like being in control. As long as you're in control, everything's fine. But when you lose control, your friends ridicule you and you feel like an idiot because you fell for something.